Where have I been? I've been here. I've just been busy. I have many things to do. Sometimes I'm busy and tired. Today I'm actually very tired, but I'm here. Hello, Tanya. How are you? Okay, so today I am talking to my regulars mostly. Okay, so if you're a regular, then Tanya and Flavia and Daffy, you're all regulars. Giuseppe, hello Giuseppe. Kimmy, hello Kimmy. So if you are regular, if you're here all the time, then ask me questions. I want to talk to you today because you are here all the time watching me. So what can I do for you? And if you are new, then you should just listen. Just listen, okay? I have been on here for 12 years. I have done more than 1,000 live streams, more than 2,000 hours of teaching. So please just listen before you start asking questions like, how can I be good in English? Just listen for a bit, okay? Listening, it's a lost art form. Watching YouTube channels is a good resource or losing time? What do you mean? You're asking me the question? Do I think watching YouTube channels is a good resource or a waste of time? You're asking me that? It depends on what you're watching. It depends on what you're watching. I don't think you should... I don't think you should really, you should be aware of how much time you spend doing anything, right? If you're doing something for too much, then you're just doing it for too much. But if you're on YouTube watching stupid prank videos, then you're wasting your time. But if you're on YouTube watching intelligent things that have value, then you're not wasting your time. Okay? People say Duolingo is crap. I haven't used Duolingo in a long time. I used it when it first came out, and I was trying it then. I don't think it's crap. I think that people have unrealistic standards and expectations of what software is supposed to do anymore. Everybody wants the God app. You want an app that does everything for nothing. That's what everybody wants. So nobody is happy with AI because it's not perfect, even though it's better than anything we've ever had before. Everybody's complaining because it's not perfect. Duolingo is not perfect, but is it better than what I had to deal with when I was learning languages when I was 15? There were no apps when I was 15. There were no apps. The only choice I had was this book or that book. Really. I didn't have videos. There was no internet, really. So now I think that people are just being kind of stupidly unrealistic, and it's almost like some people are deliberately trying not to find things useful. Like, if it's useful, now you're saying, well, it's useful, but it's not like perfectly useful, so it's not good. So, yeah. So if you're on YouTube watching smart people say smart things, and you're learning about things, and you're studying things, and you're exploring the world in good ways, and you're letting your curiosity drive your need for more You know, there's the curiosity. Curiosity is a basic need for more. That's why it's really weird to me when some people don't have curiosity. I don't understand. Why don't you want to know more? I have a hard time understanding anybody who doesn't want to know more. So, anyway, spend your time watching good things and you'll be fine. You know? But don't expect everything to be perfect, you know? It's good to have the high bar, you know, but it's also stupid to... There are so many tools today that you could look at. There's this hammer, and there's the saw, and there's this, you know, screwdriver, and there's the clamp, and all of them are useful in different ways. None of them are perfect for everything. But a carpenter has them all and knows how to use them. So why not think about apps more like tools that a carpenter has? Find a good one and learn how to use it. Is it perfect for everything? No, but it's good for some things. Okay, when you need a hammer, you have a hammer. Okay? With no internet, how did I learn Chinese? Well, I didn't start learning Chinese until I was in my 30s. I'm talking about when I was in high school in I guess that would be what, 80, let's call it 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. In those years, I was studying German in school. But we had no books, we had no apps, we had no videos, we had no extra this and that. We had the textbook. That's it. That was all we had. And my teacher was a 75 or 80-year-old. Where was she from again? Was it Latvia? No, it was Estonia. That's right. She was Estonian. Now I remember. If you want to learn something, if you want something to learn in life, discipline, and yes, you need, that's right. If you want to learn in life, you need discipline and you need effort. And hello, Bacon. Thank you, Carol. The ratio of time you spend sweating to watching others sweat is a forward-looking indicator of your success. There's some truth to that, yeah, sure. You know, I mean, you can't be a spectator forever. But on the other hand, you also can't sweat 24 hours a day. And it would be silly if you did. And if I have seen further, it is only by standing on the shoulders of those who have come before me. You have to be able to know what those shoulders are if you're going to stand on them. So you have to watch, you have to listen, you have to read, you have to study. So you should study the work of others. You should watch what others do, especially if they're good at what they do. It's another form of ignorance if you are ignoring what others have done that values the same path that you're on, that benefits the same path that you're on, right? If somebody has already been on a path similar to yours, already done something similar to what you're doing, it's only ignorant if you say, oh, I don't want to know what they did at all. I mean, you know, in music we have these people occasionally. Occasionally I've met a few people in music who They say they don't listen to anybody else. They didn't study anyone else. They weren't influenced by anyone else. They spent their entire lives just being themselves. But in my entire career, I've known only a couple of those people. Those are the Sun Ra's of the world. And we need those people, but not in great numbers. We need people who see the world in a completely different way, and don't try to do anything the way others have done them before. We need a few people like that, but certainly progress won't happen well without cumulative effort. Think of the guys that sit on the couch versus do sports. Yeah. Yeah, sure. There's something to be said for that. Pistachios, LeBron. Kai Xingguo. What is the difference between an outlet and a socket? Nothing. Electrical outlet, electrical socket, they're both interchangeable. 都可以说. Okay? Socket is a little bit less formal. Okay? If I remember right, let me check something. I think if I remember... right. The word socket wait a minute. That's interesting. Yeah, so the word socket is funny because the original meaning of socket is pig snout. Pig snout. And what does a socket kind of look like? A pig snout. So that's what the word socket is actually kind of funny. The original meaning of socket actually means a plowshare or the shape of a pig snout. So yeah. But the word outlet has other meanings, Luke. Sometimes we use the word outlet when we're talking about shopping. They have outlet malls, shopping outlet malls. These are big wholesale, or they claim to be wholesale stores that sell things. I think it's all a big scam myself, but they have these places called outlet malls where you go to them and people buy lots of clothes and things like that at a discount price, supposedly. Guns N' Roses is coming to your city in April 2026. Well, I hope they have a good wheelchair. No, I'm just saying. Oh, poor... I don't know. I don't want to see my favorite bands when they're 90. I don't want to see them when they're struggling on stage. I'm sorry, but I just don't. I would rather just respect what they did. You know? Now, there are some people I have seen, like I saw Peter Frampton, and he must have been, at the time, he was probably... he was probably at least 65 or 70, maybe, when I saw him And his whole band was older like that too, and they were amazing, incredible. But there are far too many bands who have been around for a long time who just need to just, guys, it's time. Go find a beach and chill out, because your day is done. Everybody gets their 15 minutes. It's not 30 minutes. It's not 45 minutes. It's not 24 hours. You get 15 minutes, and then your 15 minutes is over. But some people forget that, and then they just look really sad. You finally met a foreign person in this app and you had a great time. What should I do to make sure you don't lose him? Kimmy, you might lose them because people come and people go on Hello Talk. Okay, but what I would say is keep talking. Keep talking, and maybe try to find... Don't be pushy, but maybe try to find out if they have another social media like Instagram. Only because maybe they quit Hello Talk and then you lose them. Right? So what I would say, Kimmy, is keep talking to them, keep developing a friendship. And maybe once you feel close enough, don't do it too soon, okay? Don't do it too soon, but after a few weeks, maybe a couple weeks, you can tell them, hey, I really like talking to you. Here is my Instagram. If you want to add me, just in case something happens with Hello Talk, right? Just in case I'm not on Hello Talk or you're not on Hello Talk or something like that, okay? You're not supposed to share social media information with others, and you should be careful about that, but you just need to remember that sometimes people come on Hello Talk for just a week and then they're gone, okay? Do I let people get on stage? Do you have a reason to come on stage? Why do you want to come on stage? Why? Why? Okay, so tell me why. What's your question? What is your question that you want to talk about? Because, here's the thing. There are some people who come on Hello Talk and they just want to raise their hand and they just want to talk, and they're not paying attention to anybody else. They don't care about anybody else. All they want is to practice, and they're not interested in anything else. But guess what? I have a responsibility to everybody. I must help everybody. So if you don't have a question and you don't have a topic, then no. But if you have a question and you have a topic, then yes. Okay? It's just, I just want people who understand that this is my job. Okay? So don't just raise your hand and be like, hey, what's up? All right? Can we do that? So, Yap, do you have a question? I'm going to assume you have a question. Let's try. You're taking the IELTS within 2 days with no preparation? Oh, man, come on. No, I can't help you. You can't help you. Nobody can help you. You waited too long. I'm sorry, that's the bad news that you need to be told. I'm sorry. Yap, what are you doing, Yap? Yap, you can't come ask me for help 2 days before your test like I'm a god. I can't help you.
Of course not. But
come on, man.
well, so I didn't have a time for preparation, not gonna lie.
Well, then that's kind of a problem. let me
It
tell
is a problem,
let me
you know,
tell
some
let me tell you
people-
this. Let me tell you this. This is what usually when people ask me about the IELTS or the TOEFL, I tell them that you need at least 6 months to prepare for this test.
Of course.
Okay, so I'm sorry I had to be the bearer of bad news, but here's what I will tell you should do. Go ahead and cram if you want to cram. All right? Get whatever books you can get or go online on my website. If you go on my website,
I went to your website.
okay, there's a bunch of links there for IELTS and TOEFL prep. So hopefully you check that out and you can do what you can, all right? Now, go ahead and just cram and then go take the test and do the best you can. All right? Just
Yeah.
do the best you can. Wing it. All right? You'd be surprised. Every once in a while, humanity is great at adapting. And so every once in a while, you can wing it and you'll do better than you think. Winging it means improvising, everybody. To wing it means to do it without preparation. You just do the best you can. You just try to go in there and be like, I'm gonna do it.
You
Right?
know what? I've talked to a teacher and he was like, read books, increase your vocabulary, but like I have 2 days. So
Right.
can't-
So that's why I'm saying, like, go ahead and just whatever your weaknesses are, go ahead and figure out if you can find a few pages or websites that'll help you with that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But then don't worry too much because, yeah, you don't have any time, man. So just go in there and crush it. And here's what you should do. Treat this like an experiment. Treat this like this is like your test, your pre-test, right? This is like I'm just gonna see what this is about because you've never taken it before, right?
No.
Okay,
better.
so then this is more like let's just go see what this is all about. All right, it's gonna cost you some money. It's a mistake you made because you have to pay for it, right? So it's gonna cost you some money, but go take it. Then you'll have a better idea what it's like, what it's about, and then you can start studying tomorrow or the day after the test for next year or next 6 months and take it again. All right, because that's the other advice I give to everybody about the IELTS or TOEFL is take it more than one time if you can afford it. If you can afford it, if you can find the money, then take it once and then learn what is hard for you, figure out what's difficult for you, and then prepare, study, and then take it again, and then you'll do better. In life, many tests are hard. You need.
So do you think I've taken the written test, okay? Like the reading section and the writing, okay? So I asked ChatGPT to correct me and he was like 6.5 and I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know if it's accurate either. It's probably not totally wrong, but it's hard to say how close it really is. I always tell people that ChatGPT can only really evaluate you if you really give it a lot to evaluate, right? But if you only write like a paragraph, it cannot tell you anything about you or your writing in a paragraph. But if you write for a week, right, and you do a bunch of journal entries, and you write and you talk to it about different things, then a week later, then you can ask it about your writing and your English level, and it should be able to tell you, right? So
what do you think about the speaking section? Like, is it easy or hard? For me, at least. We didn't talk too much, but
right. I think you sound like you have good improvisatory free speech, which is a huge thing, okay? Because this is one big mistake people make on the speaking test is they prepare something. They memorize some things they want to say during the speaking part, and it's so obvious when you can see somebody who had answers prepared. It's so obvious. And guess
I
what?
feel like I just speak naturally, right?
Yes, so that's good because that's what they want. All right? If you look like you started like memorizing something that you wanted to say, then they're going to say, "Oh, that means that's a bad sign. That means he needed to memorize something because he can't speak freely." Right? So it seems like your speaking is pretty good. Your pronunciation is great. Your pace is good. Your listening is good too. So I think your listening and your speaking you won't do too badly on,
So
right?
that's what, like, I've never taken the listen test, okay, but I seem to understand people like really good. So is that gonna help me in the
It
test?
should. Yeah, it should, of course. But it depends. It depends on what voice they give you to hear, when you're taking the test, who's reading the questions. It depends on the quality of the audio, right? Like I remember I took a test in Chinese and it was in a classroom with speakers and the classroom was really noisy, like right, a lot of reverb.
Oh,
And
that was just
right, so I couldn't, like, the words were too muffled. I couldn't understand them, and I failed it terribly. And then I said, I want to take it again with headphones, please. And I took it again, and I did fine. And I was like, yeah, but see, I'm a musician. I pay attention to the sound quality, and that matters. You need to have good quality of sound to take a test on sound. It's not fair to give somebody a test on sound in a poor sound environment. So, do the best you can. Go look at my website and focus on your weaknesses. Whatever your weaknesses are, think about those and focus on those. It seems like you'll probably do okay on the listening and the speaking. I think it's probably going to be the reading and the writing that'll give you more trouble.
yeah, for real. Like the writing is really hard for me.
Yeah. And it's hard for everybody because
Yeah, because
it's
when I
under a
write,
time limit.
I think like the written English is way different from the speaking one, So when I write,
Can
it's
be.
like similar to my speaking vocabulary, which is
So what does that mean then? If your
because
speaking is good but your writing is not, then what does that mean?
I've never read a book in English before. No,
Okay,
never.
so
Yeah.
then there are
So
two
I don't know
things.
the written English, but I know it's like way different. The vocabulary, the way, structure.
Okay, so I'm telling you that the best thing that you can do is go take this test, get it out of the way, and then buy an English book, start reading. The number one way to absorb a language is to read it. It's the number one way. Okay, because when you read it, you're looking at the words, and you have to think about the picture of the words, so they connect to an image, and the letters, they connect. That makes that's different than watching TV, right? If you watch TV about English, right, you're watching just, The Simpsons or
Different
something.
vocab.
Yeah, it's not going to connect to your brain in the same way. That takes a whole lot more repetition. But there's a connection mentally that happens with words on a paper and your mind. And it also
Yeah, you
happens
fluid, right?
with the motion of writing versus typing. Typing does not connect to your brain well at all, but writing does. If you look at a person when they're writing, if they're on an MRI brain scanner, right, their brain is like lighting up when they write with a pencil or pen.
Yeah, I've seen this
But
study.
when they type, it's nothing because there's just no There's no interaction. There's no connection. There's no depth of cognition. So it's all about focusing on your weaknesses. Okay, and that means if you speak well and you listen well, then that's not what you need to work on, man. All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead and
The
start working on
the needed
reading.
score is like 6.5, which is
Okay, 6.5 is not bad. It's a pretty
yeah,
good
it's not that
score.
bad.
Yeah. 6 point. A lot of people would be happy with a 6.5, but it's a good place to start, right? If you score a 6.5 and you don't have much prep, then that's pretty amazing. Then that means that if you do prepare, you should be able to crush a 7.5. Okay, but you've got to prepare. All right, and guess what? Sometimes it's students like you that actually do the worst. And I'll tell you why. Because when things come easy to you, you take them for granted. So, it seems like English speaking and listening has come easy for you. And that's good. That's great. That's wonderful. But That means that now you might take that for granted, and now you won't work very hard when you need to. Okay? So you're going to rely on your speaking and your listening because I can do those, and that makes me feel good because I can do it. We don't like to do the things that we don't do well.
For real, yeah.
Right? But guess what? If you want to be better, man, how can you be better? You're only going to be better if you work on the things that you're not good at. If you keep working on the things you're already good at, you're not going to be better at all. You're just stroking your ego. Right? So guess what? Learning is supposed to challenge your ego. If learning always feels good and learning never feels frustrating, then you are not learning.
That's so real. I'm just thinking about it, yeah.
All right? It's supposed to push you. It's supposed to frustrate you. It's supposed to be hard. Not all the time, but certainly some of the time. Okay? Otherwise, you're just not challenging yourself. Yeah, so just keep working on it, and remember, you're doing well with speaking and listening, so now you need to spend some time thinking about your plan on writing and on reading. Okay?
Thank you, man. I'll
You're
just
welcome.
start now, I guess.
Yeah, start now. That's right. So just go do the test and just take your time and just don't worry too much. Just do the best you can. All right? And consider it to be like a test. You're testing the waters. That's what we call it, testing the waters. I want to see what this is like, right? So I'm going to jump in and just try it and see. And now I have some experience. I've taken it once. Now I can prepare much better because I already know what I'm up
It
against.
also won't be like that stressing if I take it a second time.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And that's why I tell people you should think about it like you're going to take it twice, because it'll make you relax more the first time too. If you know you're going to take it a second time, then the first time you can relax a little bit more. And then because you're relaxed, you'll do better.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you should always imagine you're going to take it more than once. Even if you can't, you just should imagine. Pretend. Okay? So, I'm going to let you go, but just do the best you can and then make a plan from that point forward. All right?
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
That was so helpful, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Good luck to
Nice to
you,
meet you.
and I'll see you next time, all right?
See you next time.
All right, yeah. Sometimes I have to be the bad guy. Sometimes I have to tell somebody, I have no answer for you. I can't help you. 2 days before a test, I cannot help you. But maybe the only thing I can do is give you a different mindset. But I can't help you in 2 days. It's hard. That's that's not an easy task. All right, let's see. I missed a whole bunch of comments. Please be patient. Let me catch up. So again, I let people on the stage, but not just to talk. Just you have to have a reason. That's it. It's not asking too much. Thank you, Ron. How are you, Ron? This is your last week in California. Wow, 3 months. I hope you enjoyed the time, Ron. Hello, Miriam. You saw Pete Rose in Las Vegas sitting alone in a store at a table with no one else around. It was so sad. Well, I'm from Cincinnati, Bacon. Pete Rose is the whole story of Pete Rose is all around sad. It really is. Let's see. What's the difference between being finicky, particular, picky, and fussy? Let me think about that for a minute. They are pretty much the same. Okay? I think, Miriam, that I could use, if I just say, hey, don't be so finicky, don't be so particular, don't be so picky, don't be so fussy. Depending on what you're talking about, those could all be fine, right? For example, if you're talking about food, right? That's a common one. If you're talking about food, some people are finicky, some people are picky, some people are particular, some people are fussy. We have all of those: finicky eater, particular eater, picky eater, fussy eater. They all mean the same thing. They mean that you don't like very many things. You like only the things that you like. That's it. Okay? Particular is maybe the only one I would really say is a little bit more general and more formal. So particular can be used for a lot more than finicky, picky, and fussy. So if I say I'm very particular about the way I choose drumsticks, I think I would choose the word particular instead of picky or fussy or finicky. But that's because this is something serious to me, right? If it wasn't serious, then maybe I would choose a word like picky or fussy or finicky. So particular, I think, has a slightly more formalized and maybe generalized sense. Okay, can be used in a more broad way. All right? Let's see. You want to learn basic English and improve your conversation skills. Hello, Sarah. So if you are new and you are learning, then please just watch and listen. Okay? If you have big general questions, then the best thing you can do is start watching and start listening and maybe make some notes. Okay? I have been here for 12 years on Hello Talk. I have been live streaming for 5 years. I have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. I think it's almost 88,000 now. Something like that. I went from 84,000 to 88,000 in a very short time. I don't know how that happened exactly, but something like 87,000 something, 87,715 people. So that means that people ask me questions all the time. All right, so you should listen and make some notes. And you can also go to my YouTube channel where you can watch other videos. You can also go to my website and find many links to help you there. And you can go to my blog and find things there too. Okay? All right, let's see. How can you improve your courage in speaking? You gotta just, guys, bravery is something that you build upon. Bravery is something that you build upon. So, if you want to be brave, go be brave. And every time you're brave, it's easier to be brave the next time. Okay? That's how confidence happens also. All right? So, if you want to have courage, then go be courageous. The more you do it, the more you are it. Okay? The more you do it, the more you are it. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Diego. Thank you for the gifts, everybody. You can't find academic words. That's your problem, though. Well, Sarah, then you need to study academic words. There are lots of places online to study academic vocabulary. Go to my website and check it out. You'll find a link under resources called vocabulary, and you can find more there, okay? All right, let's see. Please be patient. I'm almost done catching up here. Focus on your weaknesses, everybody. That's what I always say. Focus on your weaknesses. You can't be great if you focus on the things that you're already good at. You have to focus on the things you're not good at. All right, let's see. Thank you, Yuki. Hello, Tiger. Persnickety. Yeah, persnickety is pretty similar. Persnickety is not as common, at least in the United States. It might be more common slightly in the UK. Persnickety, I think, is one that not everybody knows. Persnickety. It's a little bit of an older word, so my generation or older should know it, but I think maybe some younger kids might not know it. Yeah, by more general, I mean it's used in more topics. You can be particular about many things, right? So, he's very particular about the way he cleans up after his work, or he's particular about the way he does his studying, or he's particular about the way that people speak, whatever. Particular is far more general than fussy or something, right? In a business world, I wouldn't really use the word fussy, but particular you can use. Okay? My beard is longer. Yeah, it grows. It's hair. It grows. And then one of these days, I'll shave it off here in the next week, and then everybody's going to be like, oh my God, he shaved his face. What are we going to do? Oh my God, don't do that, Teacher Mark. You look ugly now. Go back to the beard. It's always fun when people comment on your looks, but you can't see them. Hello, Nilo from Iran. You have trouble pronouncing words? Okay, well, Cassie, 一些中国人他们可以看我的那个 website， 可是一些不可以看。一些人他们需要用梯子 ，okay? I have a good SEO on the first result I get when you search AFIEC. Well, Diego, that was why I chose AFIEC. People said, but Mark, AFIEC doesn't sound like anything. And that's the point. If it doesn't sound like anything, then that means I can buy the website cheaply. And it means that when I do SEO, it'll be easy to find because there are no other people who have a similar label. So that is called name brand choice contemplation. You have to think about the name that you're going to use. Sure, it's easy to do a simple name, but simple names sometimes are harder to market. Okay, so can I call it Coffee Snob Finicky? Yes. Yeah, I mean, again, Miriam, remember, Miriam, this is art, not science. So, the answers I'm giving you about persnickety and finicky and, particular and fussy, everybody is going to have a slightly different answer, right? Some people will like the word fussy more. Some people will think that persnickety is, no, we never say that anymore. Some people will think, whatever. I want you to just understand that, remember that you should use whichever one you like, because that's the beauty of language, all right? Author's license. In a blog I read, finicky implies an affected author and exasperating fastidiousness. Yeah, but so does fussy, and what was the other one? I can't remember. So does finicky, so does picky. Yeah, they all pretty much mean that same thing. Affected. Well, yeah. I mean, they're pretty interchangeable. I think that this is one of those things where I could choose any one of those. If I were writing a story, I could choose any one of those, but I might choose different ones depending on the context, right? So if I were talking about like a scientist or something in the way he works, I might use the word particular. If I were talking about a little kid eating their food, I might use the word picky, you know, or if I were trying to open a door and it's an old lock, right? So the key, you have to turn it just the right way. If you don't turn it the right way, then it doesn't open. That lock is finicky. As a matter of fact, I want to look. I'm curious. I have a feeling. Let me look at the etymology of finicky. Comes from finical. Finical is an adjective meaning fastidious, extreme elegance in manners and taste and speech from the 1590s. Well, that's interesting. So there's another adjective called finical that we never use because I've never seen it in my life. But that's where the word finicky comes from. It's from a very old English word, finical, which means really particular about your manners, your taste, and your speech in a very elegant and refined way. Okay? But that's the old meaning, right? Like I said, I could think of how the word finicky, we've used that like for doors, right? This door is a little finicky. It means like you got to play with it a little bit before it opens. You know, it doesn't open for anything. It has only the right way will do it. Okay? It's a difference without much useful difference. Right. And that's why I kind of saying it's more like art. It's an artist's choice. Right? So if you like the word picky, then use the word picky. If you like the word finicky, then use the word finicky. If you like the word persnickety, then use the word persnickety. That's how words come back. Somebody decides, you know what, I really like that word. I'm going to start using it again. That's exactly how that happens, you know, is people just decide to start using words again. All right? Okay. Let's see. There are differences with all these words, but the differences take most Americans a great deal of thinking. Yeah, but again, like I said, I think the differences, though, are... they are not starkly different. They are very, very similar. They're contextually different. But I think that the contextual difference is also going to be personal, meaning that there will be some people who will have a contextual, who will contextually want to use this word more than this word, you know, but just by choice. That's just because they happen to like that word more, or they have more, you know, sometimes it's as simple as this, right? If your family, maybe your father always says the word persnickety, well, then you start using the word persnickety. Well, now that's the word you like. You say persnickety a lot more. You don't say particular, you say persnickety. Sometimes that's how it happens. So that's why I'm just trying to tell you that it's not really worth spending too much time trying to figure out the subtle differences between them, because there aren't any that really there are no differences that are stark between them. They're all subtle. So yeah, it's like discussing, are all the sheep the same color of white? Or is it, this one's a little bit darker and this one's a little bit, brighter, right? So they're white. Okay? Could you write short stories and publish them online to sell them? You can write short stories to publish them online. Whether you can sell them or not is a different story. I think that would be pretty hard today, but not impossible. I think that here's what I would tell you, Majda. If you want to be a writer, then you should begin writing. Okay? And I predict that in the next 5 years, there is going to be a resurgence of handmade, boutique, human-done products. Because AI is all everybody can think about anymore. Everything is being automated and everything is done for you. So I think that means that there will be a time coming very soon where people are going to they're going to tire of how simple and easy it is that AI can do all this for you. And I think that they will prefer to find someone who does it without, what's the right word? Someone who does it with real authenticity. That's the word I'm looking for. I think authenticity is going to become far, far more valuable very soon. Uniqueness and authenticity will be very valuable soon, because if you're not unique and you're not authentic, then people will just go to AI. All right, so start writing, and then it's about developing a community, Majda. You have to find people who care about what you do, right? So just do what you do well and care about what you do. And if you do that, people will see that you care about what you do and you do it well. And they will start watching. They'll start paying attention. Okay? And Max Oliveira says, do I think it's hard to find a job with B2 to C1 level in the USA? You're from Brazil. Oh, right now, Max, I would probably say yes. Right now, things are not real good here for anybody who's not local. So, I'm not going to say you can't, but I'm going to say it's going to be harder. Okay? And if you can you improve your listening if you persist from listening to me, or in listening to me? Yeah, Jaja. If you listen to me every day, then yeah, your listening will improve. But remember that I think you need to do more, right? If you want to improve, you can't just do it in one way. You have to have many ways to improve, okay? This is one of the biggest mistakes students make. They have one way of practicing. That's it. And because they only have one way of practicing, they only have one way of excelling. And they have, if you fail, now you've completely failed because you only had one way. But if you have many, many ways of learning, then if one doesn't work, that's okay because the other one will. Okay? 这是开心果。Do you have questions? Ask me. If you have questions, ask me. Interesting. Finicky. It also says it's perhaps oh, well, look at that. So the word finicky is related to the word fine. Fine, meaning like fine dining. So the word fine sometimes just means okay, but the word fine sometimes means very nice, right? This is a fine car. That would be nice car, right? The fine dining, a fine dining restaurant's nice, okay? It's very nice. So the word finicky is actually a combination of the word fine and the word ickle, like cynical or ironical, the ickle part. So it was finical, and then it became finicky. An affected, often exasperating fastidiousness teacher. What does affected mean here? In this case, affected means like it affects you a lot, right? So it's like it's very important to your entire person, right? It's so it's something that affects you a lot. Put it that way, okay? And in this case, it also means like, it's like if you're saying something is very affected, it could mean that you're doing it more than you need to kind of make a point or to impress somebody or to show off or to try to like get attention. Okay, so sometimes the word affected is like, in this case, they're talking about somebody that's finicky, right? I think that's what you said, right? So in this case, it's like they're trying to they want people to see how special they are. Oh, I don't eat that. Oh, I don't do that. I don't do these things. I only do the nice things. I only do the fine things. Right? So remember that the word finicky is related to the word fine. I'm eating nuts. Yes, Kaixingguo. All right, what is the best state in the USA for starting a small business? I have no idea. No idea. That would require me to do a lot of research to figure out. It depends on what kind of business. It depends on, the taxes in each state are different. The business rules and laws in each state are different. So it's hard to say. Okay? Hello, everybody. What's the difference between search for and search about? nothing. I think that sometimes it's just one sounds better than the other, right? I'm searching for some information. I'm searching about some things, right? So, wait a minute. Let me find something. So searching about is when you're trying to tell people the subject that you're searching. I'm searching about housing. I'm searching about finance. I'm searching about tax codes. I'm searching about whatever. So about, you're talking about the topic or subject. Search for itself is something that you're trying to find, a thing specifically. Now, they can be used interchangeably, but in general, the term for would be for things and about would be for topics. Okay? Best state for taxes is, Delaware. Doesn't eating nuts sound weird? Not really, no. Only if you have a dirty mind. Today's not my usual day? What do you mean, Libra? An exaggerated way of showing they're too particular. That's right, to get attention. That's right, affected. Right, they're trying to sometimes people don't want you to think that they're picky or finicky, right? They hide it, right? So they're not trying to show it off. But some people are very, very oh, I don't know if I can eat here. Do they have only farm raised fish? I don't know if I can eat here. Is the beef? Is it free range? Is it free range chicken? Or whatever, right? That is being more affected. Hey, look at me, I'm so picky. All right. Do I teach advanced words like before? I haven't done a vocabulary session in a while. I don't know. I think sometimes those are not always... Those are useful for some people, but some people, it's too hard for most people. So, I try to teach mostly general things, general concepts, not too many specifics. Mostly because if you're going to get specific, then I should get paid. How many years have I been learning Mandarin? A long time, more than 10 years. More than 10 years, but all self-taught, just self-taught. I have no real training. I did go to a university for 6 months in Taiwan to study Chinese. But other than that, everything I've learned is just on my own. It's been a very, very slow process. But I don't mind it being slow, I think that that's a benefit. Once you've learned something really well, slowly, then you see the benefit of slow learning, and then you're more willing to learn slowly. So I learned drums, and I studied like you wouldn't believe, deeply, very, very seriously, for hours and hours and hours and hours every day. So I know what it means to study something deeply and slowly. And the benefit of slow, deep learning. So once you know that, then you feel good about slow, deep learning. And you don't worry about getting there faster. You just know that you're getting there. Okay? You get a sense of confidence once you accomplish slow learning successfully one time in one area. If you know it in one area, then you can feel how it would be to apply that to others. Okay? You thought it's not a live stream? It's a live stream. It's live. I'm a real live boy. Advanced words without much context is pointless. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Mostly. I've written or I wrote. Both are correct. Both say different things, right? I have written and I wrote. I wrote is past tense. I have written is past perfect, right? So, they're both correct. They both just say the same thing in two different ways. Okay? I have written an article for a magazine today. I have written an article for a magazine today. Okay, Jaja, good for you. Oh, did I say past perfect? I meant present perfect. Sorry. Oops. All right. Did I miss anything? Nope. All right. So, questions? Anyone? Questions? Hello, everybody. Let's see who's here. Hello, Diego and LeBron. Hello, Yuki and Peter and Min. Hello, Angie and Kana. And Ellie and Leo and Olivia. Hello, Felix and Libra. And somebody with a Middle Eastern name I can't read. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. And hello, Yashian and Romana and Shisan. Hello, Ray and Rafa and Giuseppe and Tiger. And another one I can't read because I don't have my glasses on. And Just, and Sure, and Majda, and Jandis, and Shu, and Patrick, and Barbie, and Naldi, hello, and Omar, and Xiaomei, and Cassie, and Mary, and Jojo. Wow, lots of people. Hello. You think I've deliberately slowed down my speech so that you can understand me? Yes, I'm a teacher. Most teachers do. Yeah, about 10%. Most of the time when I'm on camera, I speak about 10% slower than I would in real life. Okay? In the sentence, the snobby customer refused to eat the food because it was a little cold. Can I say she is too finicky or particular? Yeah, being snobby. Yeah, snobby people are finicky. Yeah, and that would be maybe, again, you could say any one of those words. You could say, she's so snobby. She's so particular. She's so snobby. She's so fussy. She's so snobby. She's so picky. She's so snobby. She's so persnickety. All of those are fine. You see what I mean? So, in this case, if you're talking about a snobby person, you could use any one of those words. Okay? You like to listen to my natural tone. Guys, I speak how I speak, and you will listen to how I speak. That's how that works. Okay? If you listen and you understand, great. Okay? But my job is not to challenge your ears. My job is to teach. Do you understand? Okay? Yeah, you can't please everybody. Is it one of the traits of a snobby person to be particular? Yeah, usually. Yeah. Yeah. That's what being snobby is. To be snobby usually means you have some kind of a standard that's higher than everybody else to a point that people find uncomfortable. That's what we call you. If we feel like you're uncomfortably particular, uncomfortably picky, then yeah, you're snobby. If you make other people uncomfortable with your pickiness and your particularness, then yeah, that's being a snob. Okay? Yeah. Snobby is more like being stuck up. It can be, but not always. Snobby can certainly be like stuck up, rich, but snobby doesn't have to be a rich person. It just is a person who thinks they're better than everybody else. So you can be poor and arrogant, and then you can be snobby. It doesn't happen too often, because usually being poor is a wonderful teacher of humility, but it does occasionally happen. So, yeah. Snobbiness is almost always associated with wealth. That's true. But it's not inherent to wealth, I think. I think it's not only for wealth. Okay? And sometimes I will speak faster. Just wait. All right? Occasionally I get excited and then I speak more quickly. All right? But it's not just my speed. It's not only my speed as to why you understand me. I know why you are asking me these questions. I know why you're thinking about my speaking speed. Because you are thinking, why can I understand this guy so well, but I can't understand all the other people? Why? And speaking speed is one of the reasons, but not the only reason. Okay? One of the other reasons is I enunciate. To enunciate means to over-exaggerate your mouth movements in pronunciation. So, all of my words I try to speak with clarity. Okay? That's another reason why you understand me. And you also understand me because I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. And in my city, we have, or I should say in my state, we have 3 accents, and one of the accents is called the Midland, Ohio accent. And that is the accent that I have. The Midland, Ohio accent is very close to IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet pronunciation. It's almost the same exact pronunciation as IPA. So it's clear. Okay? And then the final reason why you understand me well is because I use the best equipment that you can get. Okay? So some people, when they come on their live streams, they're just using their phone and their phone microphone and camera, and that's not bad. It's okay. But I have this lovely, beautiful microphone over here that I'm using, and it makes a big, big difference. That's why you see people on TV using good microphones, because it matters. Okay? All right, let's see. Snobbery is related to the exaggerated lack of respect giving to some considered low. Well, yes, snobbery. Yes, to be snobby is different than snobbery. But snobbery is still, it's like you should accept it, but you're not. It's snobbery, you know? Google says being snobby is because of your position or social class or wealth or taste, but not always. Right. Like I said, I think snobbiness can be in many different social groups, right, that don't have to do with money. Okay? So, if you feel like you're not part of the group and you're being excluded somehow because of the way you act, that's a form of snobbiness, okay? To be snobbish. He snobbishly looked at me or talked to me, right? So it's not always about money and social class, but it often is. I stayed in Taiwan for 4.5 years. 4.5 years. Stuck up. No. Again, stuck up often is for rich people or something. It refers to people who think they're better than everybody else. Actually, let me look at something. Wait a minute. So, stuck up. Do you know where the term stuck up comes from? Stuck up comes from when you think you're better than everybody else, you do this. Your nose goes up in the air like, I don't want that. I'm better than that. So when you are snobby, your nose is stuck up. You're looking down on everyone in a condescending way because your nose is stuck up. So you are stuck up. Okay? So stuck up is more about being condescending in a way that means you think you're better than they are. Okay? The problem is when you listen to people who are not teachers, you don't understand them. Any tips? Try listening to more teachers. There are 340 million Americans and 340 million people who speak English differently. Some of them speak well, some of them speak very poorly. You have to find the people who speak well. When you're learning a language, whatever language you are learning, you need to remember that millions or billions of people speak that language. And that means there's a big range. There's a huge range of some people speak really well and some people don't. And you are trying to listen to everybody. You're just, I don't care. I'm just going to pick one from here and one from here and one from here. They're all the same, right? No, they're not all the same. That's the point. Don't just listen to anybody. Listen to people who speak well. When you're trying to study a language, it's not about the content. So I don't care how interesting the content is. Maybe it's your favorite guy talking about your favorite subject. Great. But if he doesn't speak well, then I don't want you to listen to it. For English learning. You are trying to make that your English learning because you like the content. But the guy who speaks is not speaking well. So you have to separate those things. Okay? When you are listening for learning, then you should listen to people who speak well. Period. Okay? I know you want to understand everybody, but you can't. Not in the beginning. You cannot understand everybody in the beginning. You can understand a little, a few, not many. And then listen more to the people who speak well, and you'll start to understand more. Listen more to the people who speak well, and you'll understand more. Okay? But if you keep trying to listen to people who don't speak well, that's your problem. All right? All right. Let's see. Hello, Stavros. How are you? I've always wanted to go to Greece, especially Athens. One day. I'd love to go to Greece and I want to go to Greece and Italy. So much of my history, I studied so much about Greek history and Roman history and ancient Italian history, and it's just it's just one of those things. Like, it's so weird because I feel like I've studied it so much, but I've never been there. I want to go. I want to touch one of the buildings, the Parthenon. I want to touch something that's been there for 1,000 years or longer. That we don't have that here, really. We don't really have much of that. Kind of, but not really. What's the reason for conducting strict interviews when hiring foreigners in the United States? I can't really answer that, Kimmy. Every country, when you hire people outside of the country, there are much more strict rules about hiring people outside of the country. For every country, that's true. Okay, if I want to work in Korea, there are many, many rules that I have to follow that locals don't. Okay? Stuck up like snobby could be related to wealth or not. Yeah. Yeah, stuck up is more about attitude. What about people who speak slang? I don't teach slang. I don't teach it ever. Ever. Do you know why? Because slang is a moving target. There are words they are using today that they will not be using tomorrow. I don't see the point in wasting my time to learn those words. Especially because those words, most of those words, the slang words, are just social identifiers of social clique groups. That's all slang is most of the time, especially for young people. Almost all the young people who want to use slang, they only want to use slang because they think it's a key that opens the door to all the other young people. Like, oh, if I speak like they do, then they'll accept me. That's the theory, at least. I still think it's sad, I think slang is really interesting, but I think that you should study it from a sociological point, not from a linguistic clique standpoint, which is what it is. It's the linguistics of cliques. That's what slang is. Okay? What makes progress from B1 to C1 faster? Farah, B1 and B2 are very big neighborhoods. Okay? I want you to think about language like a neighborhood. And when you get in a new neighborhood, you have to live there for a while before you learn it, right? You have to know the neighborhood. Learn that neighborhood, right? So A1 it's a small neighborhood, not too big. It's not too big, A1, right? So you can learn it pretty quickly, right? Then you move to a bigger neighborhood. A2 is a slightly bigger neighborhood, but it's still pretty small, okay? But then After you move out of the A2 neighborhood, now you move to the B1 neighborhood. That's a big neighborhood. It's a very big neighborhood. A lot of people live there, a lot of stores, a lot of shops, a lot of things to see. It's going to take some time to get to know that neighborhood. Okay? And B2 is also a very big neighborhood. So how do you get to C1? C1 takes some time because B1 and B2 are really big neighborhoods. And you need to know all the streets in that neighborhood. You need to know all the houses. Who lives there? Oh, that's the Jones family. Who lives there? Oh, that's the Rostenkowski family. Whatever. You need to know the neighborhoods, but it takes time. Okay? Snobby also has a, yes, snobby is also a condescending sense to it, yeah. I would love to have some moussaka. I've always wanted to try moussaka. I've never had moussaka, but I've seen it. I'm in the U.S. now. With the Parthenon in Las Vegas. Yeah, maybe. I can't remember. I've been to Vegas a couple times, and I wasn't really that impressed. I'm not a big fan of Vegas. It's okay, but it's like, all right, go enjoy yourself and party. But if you want to go to Vegas more than one time, I'm probably not going to be friends with you. I'm sorry. Because really, I mean, Vegas it's a great place for immature people, but if you're a mature person, it's kind of doesn't really have a lot to offer. I'm sorry, it's true. Maybe entertainment. They do have a lot of entertainment. I have a lot of friends who perform in Vegas, and sure, they get to work with Stevie Wonder and, you know, big names, like, you know, that's cool. But it's mostly just drinking and gambling and not much else. One of your teachers said you're almost C1. All right, well, good. Good. C1. If you can reach the C1 level, that's pretty high. That's as far as most people need to go. You need to remember that C1 and C2, those neighborhoods, the things you learn in those neighborhoods are only valuable in those neighborhoods. So, if you learn a lot of C2 language, that's academic language, right? Let me show you some C2 language. Let's take a look. One moment. All right, here we go. Let's see. Oh, come on. Give me just something to read. Come on. You can't find anything for free anymore. It used to be nice. You could go on the internet and get an answer, but now everybody is like, oh, go here and buy my this and buy my that. Everybody and their mother. Nothing is just an answer anymore. So the tyranny of the racing mind begins quietly. It begins as a perfunctory ritual, a pantomime of impending restfulness, performed for an audience of one. The dimming of lights, the fluffing of pillows, the optimistic placement of a glass of water on the bedside table. I lie back, close my eyes, and wait for the velvet cloak of sleep to descend. Silence. And then the performance begins. That's C2 level, okay? That's a lot of vocabulary. You know, let's go through some of the vocabulary. Tyranny, perfunctory, ritual, pantomime, impending, an audience of one, the dimming of lights, the fluffing of pillows, optimistic placement. That's fairly advanced. Yeah, the fluffing of pillows. To fluff a pillow is to, when a pillow, you want to make it more soft, so you take it and you go, that's called fluffing the pillow. When you do this thing with the pillow and you kind of shake it around and try to get the stuffing to be evenly distributed, that's called fluffing the pillow. Okay? Bacon says, but no one will ever speak like that unless they're speaking in a movie or in a soliloquy. That's my point. That B1 and B2 level English are big neighborhoods because that English is useful everywhere. C1 and C2 is only useful in some places, right? So if I'm writing a paper in school, in a university, right, it's an advanced English class, then that's a good place for C2 vocabulary. You know, if I'm writing an academic paper for science, that's a good place for C2 level vocabulary. But if I'm just talking to my friend at the store, no, man. That was a perfunctory ritual, a pantomime of impending restfulness performed for an audience of one. If I spoke like that, somebody would probably call a doctor. All right? So, yeah. All right? So, yeah, remember, B1 and B2, those are big neighborhoods, and the things that you learn in those neighborhoods are useful almost everywhere. Okay? But C1 and C2, the things that you learn in those neighborhoods are only useful in those kinds of neighborhoods. All right? They're academic. All right? That's why we even have a phrase. We say, that's all academic. If you want to become a professor, you need C2. If you want to become a professor, you need to be smart. You need to I don't care about your vocabulary. I do care about your ideas. Okay, there are many people who have brilliant ideas but lack an academic vocabulary to discuss them, which they should learn, but that doesn't mean that they aren't brilliant already. They just don't have the same ability to express it in academic terms. Okay, so it's like the old Isaac Newton apple falls from the tree thing, right? Is that story real? No, but the story makes it easier to understand the entire principle. Right? Anyway. All right. Why am I here? I don't know anymore. Why am I here? Do I have a reason to be here? You tell me. Why am I here? Level C2 is almost equivalent to an IELTS score of 8. I don't think you can really do it like that. C2, it depends on, there are different levels of C2, right? So you have C2 vocabulary, C2 grammar, C2, so what I would say is most people who have a C2 level don't have a full, complete C2 level. Meaning, like, they might be able to use the words well in reading, but not when speaking. Right? Like, they can read the words, they understand them when they're reading, but they can't really use those words when they're speaking. Right? So, yeah. Yeah. So, words are a very interesting thing. because they're a connection between ideas and pictures and images. It's the connection between imagination and reality. And words help us bridge that connection between imagination and reality. So the more vocabulary you know, the bigger your world is. That's really what it is. It's about having more imagination. So you still have an imagination, just a smaller one, because you can't describe it without the words. Well, thank you, Stavros. That's nice of you to say. You're nice. What about accent? What about accent? The truth is that in America, nobody really cares about your accent as long as it's clear. All right? As long as it's clear. Some native speakers can't reach C2 level? Of course! Is it Pinfu? So, Pinfu. I know many Chinese people who can't speak at a C2 level in Chinese. I know many people who can't speak at a C2 level in many languages. C2 is not for everybody. Most people don't reach that level of understanding of the world. You know? So, yeah. Okay, do you guys, let's just think about it like this, okay? I don't like to talk about IQ very much because I think it doesn't have too much real value. But let's just look at it from a standpoint of IQ, right? What does 100 IQ mean? What is a 100 IQ? If you have a 100 IQ, what does that mean? Anyone? No, you are not Einstein with a 100. Einstein had a 160, I think. So what 100 means is that's the average. That's the middle ground. That's average. That's like you understand most normal things. That's 100. Okay? But let's just take America, for example. I can't speak for other countries because I don't know the numbers or the statistics, but I can speak for this one. So there are about 340 million people here. And if you take those numbers and you think about it from an IQ standpoint, about half of the people have about an average IQ, but about half of the people have under an average IQ. So there are about 50 million people who have an IQ of, I think it's 45 million if I remember right, 45 million people who have an IQ of roughly 80 to 90, which is not very good. Once you reach 80, below 75 or 80, that's, yeah, you're talking about somebody that you're gonna know this person's not real smart. It happens. Like, I'm not trying to judge them. I'm just saying these are statistics. That's all I'm saying. I want you to remember that there are about 140, 150 million people here alone who their ability to understand the world is below 100 IQ, right? So that means that there are some things they really can't really understand. Okay? Now that's just my country, but every other country is the same. They're all the same. This is statistically that it just translates to everybody is the same way, right? So you just need to remember that of course most people don't have C2 language because most people are not geniuses. And I'm not trying to insult people. I'm just trying to say statistically that 100 is a normal average IQ, but that means that there are millions of people below that, hundreds of millions below that, right? And there are some above that. Okay? All right? Yeah. So if you don't know who I am, hi, I'm this guy they call Teacher Mark. Hello, David Castillo. And I have been on Hello Talk for 12 years. I've been live streaming for 5 years. I have about 87,000 followers here. Here's my YouTube. Here's my website. Here is my blog. Most people on Hello Talk don't have a website, don't have a YouTube, don't have a blog. But I do. Okay? About English, about learning, about life. You think I must be happy to chat with you, you sense my speaking speed is normal. Again, like I said, there are some times when I will get a little more excited and animated, and usually my speed of speaking increases in those moments. Okay? But I love to slow down my language. I love to slow down my language because my brain is pretty fast. And if I can slow down my language, then I can choose my words better. It's really fun. When you it's the same as when you read music, right? If you learn how to read music, the slower you read, the easier it gets. Because your eyes can go further ahead. And if your eyes can go further ahead, then you know what's coming. You can play it with more attention. You can imagine what's happening before it happens and then do it better. Same thing with words. If you slow down, you can have more time to, oh, I like this word, and this word. Choose. That's the magic of language. But you think you can acquire C2 level if you experience such an environment? You mean if you move to America? I have news for you. If you move to America, that will have absolutely nothing to do with you acquiring a C2 level. Unless you go to university and study a master's degree program. If you study a master's or a PhD in the United States, then you can acquire a C2 level. But if you come to the United States and you just hang out, no, man, no! You will not acquire a C2 level if you just live in the United States. Absolutely not. No. Okay? Can I speak Japanese? I know a few words. I can't speak it, but I know a few words. When you started speaking, you were so sluggish. Okay, so, but what's the problem? Please listen. Lots of people come here and they say, Teacher Mark, please help me. I can't do this thing. Please help me. I can't pronounce the TH. I can't speak without forgetting words. I can't speak without being nervous or shy. Many people come here and they tell me I can't do it. And then I ask them, how many times did you try? How many times did you try? And they say, oh, but Teacher Mark, I tried like 10 times. I still couldn't do it. I tried like 20 times, Teacher Mark. I couldn't do it. I tried 100 times, Teacher Mark. I couldn't do it. And they think 100 is a big number. They think I'm going to be impressed. Guess what? If you have not tried to do it 1,000 times, then you have not tried to do it. So I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me I can't do it because you haven't tried yet. 10 times, not enough. 100 times, not enough. Talk to me after you've done it 1,000 times. Okay? After you have tried 1,000 times, if you still have trouble, come see me. But guess what? If you try it 1,000 times, you won't have any trouble. Okay, but psychology said we could do that. Psychology said what did Awaj? Who is psychology that told you that if you move to America that you'll get a C2 vocabulary? That doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make any sense at all. And it tells me that you don't know what a C2 vocabulary is. Because C2 vocabulary words are not common. Those are not common words. You do not hear C2 vocabulary at the grocery store or the convenience store. You do not hear C2 vocabulary on the news. You don't hear C2 vocabulary in movies or TV shows. C2 vocabulary is a very small place. Okay? Yeah. If you haven't done it 1,000 times, then you haven't done it. Come back after you tried 1,000 times. And if you still have trouble, I will help you. Okay? All right. Again, if you have a question, you should ask it. I only have 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes, I'm going to be here. 10 more minutes, I'm here. So if you have questions, you should ask me. Okay? And I know that some people are like, why doesn't he talk to people? He never invites anybody on the stage. Why doesn't he do that? If you have something good to talk about, then maybe I will talk to you on stage. But usually people are just like, talk to me. Please talk to me. Will you talk to me? I don't want to talk if you just want to talk. I'm sorry. But if you're just can we chat? No. In psychology, I learned about language acquisition. Okay, but Awaj, psychology is not that's only one part of language acquisition, okay? My father is a psychologist, all right? I've been studying psychology since I was a kid, especially as a teacher. As a teacher, everything in teaching is psychology, right? But what I'm trying to tell you is, if that were true, then everybody in America would have a C2 level vocabulary. Everybody here lives here. They're here all the time. So why don't they have a C2 vocabulary? They live here? You see how there's a big flaw in your idea. The idea that everybody has a C2 vocabulary? Not true. Nowhere is that true. No country. No country has an entire population with an advanced level of language. None. Every country has people who don't speak well in their language. Okay? So, if you move to America and you live on the Harvard campus, and all of your friends are Harvard professors, and you spend all of your time talking to professors and academics and high level things like that, high level environments, then maybe you will acquire a C2 level vocabulary by living here. But if you just move to the United States and just live somewhere, no, it's an absolutely ridiculous idea to suggest that just living here will allow you to acquire a C2 level vocabulary, because 90% of the population doesn't use a C2 level vocabulary. In Brazil, there are a lot of... I don't think so, Robeson. I don't think so. I think it would take me 2 minutes, only 2 minutes, if I go to the streets of Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo. If I go to the streets there and I find a random person and I ask that person to explain to me about advanced, let's say, astrophysics in Portuguese, do you think that they could do that? No! If I asked the average person on the street in Sao Paulo to explain in Portuguese, to explain the highest level of Portuguese literature, would they be able to do it? No. Of course not. Of course not. Okay? There are... Being able to speak is not the same as knowing everything. Okay. What you said is there are a lot of people who are not able to speak Portuguese at a high level. That is, yeah. Okay, so you're agreeing with me. Yeah, you're agreeing with me. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, everywhere, that's true. Everywhere. So, yeah, if I move to Brazil... and if I want to learn Portuguese, of course it will help me to live there, because you hear it all the time. You're living the language. You're surrounded by it. But you're surrounded by the level of language, which means most language is common language. It's not academic language. So it's in every country. If you move to a country, you're going to be surrounded by mostly basic to intermediate level language all the time. Okay? Not advanced. Advanced language, in any language, advanced language takes studying. Effort. All right, let's see. What's the difference between in the street and on the street and in the app or on the app? Okay, in the street is in. Like, I'm in the street playing. We're playing in the street, okay? I'm throwing ball with my friends in the street, okay? In this case, we're talking about people, right? There's a cat in the street. There's a dog in the street. There's some trash in the street, right? It means it's not supposed to be there. That's where we are now, but it's like telling people we are there, but that's not where we usually should be. Okay? On the street, I parked my car on the street. Now that's supposed to be there. A car is supposed to be on a street. Okay? So, on the street, it depends on context. There are some other things to consider. But in general, when we talk about in the street, we're talking about there's a cat in the street. There's a dog in the street. There's some trash in the street. We're playing ball in the street. Okay? So those are things that shouldn't be there but are. But on the street, let me think of another example. Wait a minute. Yeah, the car is parked on the street, or there's a slang way that we use it. We say "word on the street." Word on the street is that we are getting a new boss. The word on the street, it means gossip. Okay, so that's a little different. That's like an idiom. It's a word on the street. He lived on the street two streets over from me. Okay, so if I live in this street and my friend lives 2 streets over, then I'll say he lives on the street 2 streets over from me. Okay, so that's supposed to be there. It's kind of funny. I never thought about it until now, but it's kind of true. It's really about what should be there and what shouldn't be there. Okay, in the street is often talking about things that aren't supposed to be there, but they are. But on the street is usually talking about things that should be there. Okay, and I only have about 3 more minutes left, so if you have a question, ask me. Right, Robeson says, I'm a lawyer, so if I talk to people using Portuguese in my job, most people won't understand. Right, so the same thing is true. When you're a lawyer, lawyers have to learn all kinds of advanced language for law. But when you're talking to your client, you have to learn how to explain those advanced legal terms in simple ways so they can understand them, because most people don't know, those legal terms in any language. What's the purpose of C1 or C2 level if it isn't used that much? The purpose is because control is the purpose. That's the purpose. Learning a language is like learning a musical instrument. And when you push yourself to learn the highest, most advanced level of that thing, you're gaining control. It's basically like saying, I can drive a sports car. I can drive a race car, not a sports car. I can drive a race car that drives 300 miles per hour around a really, really difficult course. I can do that. So if I can drive a race car 300 miles an hour around a really crazy course, then I can definitely drive a regular car in normal traffic. It's about pushing yourself. Okay? So, do we often race sports cars that go 300 miles an hour? No, we don't often do it. But if you're able to do that, then you have an advanced level. That's why. Okay? Pushing yourself to go beyond your ability is about gaining control of your ability. Okay? What's the difference between a home and a house? Context, Mohammed. It depends. Okay? Sometimes they're the same. Sometimes they're They're a little different, right? Like we even have a phrase about this. Every house is not a home. Because sometimes what that means is a house is just a building. A home is a place where you live. It's a family place. It's a place where you want to be, right? So this is my home makes it feel like something like I love this place. This is special to me. This is my house. That's just a building. Okay? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But again, the house and home, there are many places where I could use them interchangeably and they might be the same. Okay? I want to buy a house next year. I want to buy a home next year. I'm a homeowner. You could, right? So there are some cases where you can switch them interchangeably. But there are some cases where if I said, hey, do you want to come over to my house tomorrow? That's fine. I could also say, would you like to come to my home? That's fine too. Generally, they're the same, but again, one has an emotional content and one is more of a materialistic. This is the building. It's just the building. It's the house. Okay? Home is warmer than house. Yeah, generally. Yeah. What about apartment? What about apartment? Apartment is an apartment. It's just a place you live, you know. It's also your home. So that's a good question. Okay, so an apartment could be your home, right? Welcome to my home. If you have an apartment, you can still say home, okay? You just can't say house because an apartment is not a house, okay? So every house is a home, but not every home is a house. In which ways can I use the word fast? You can use fast for a lot of different things, man. Fast can be about speed, right? Velocity, right? So it's a fast car, a fast cat, a fast dog, a fast kid, right? But you can also use fast food, right? We talked about it's quick, it's fast food, right? Fast can also be a verb meaning to not eat. I'm fasting means I'm not eating right now. Okay, that's where the word breakfast comes from. It means the first food that you eat after you don't eat to fast. Okay? Fast reading, fast writing, fast speaking. Fast can be for just about anything involving velocity and speed. But it also can be a verb meaning to not eat. Hello, Lily. A loft is a special kind of apartment that usually has, well, it could be a few different things in America. Sometimes a loft apartment means one big open space, like one big open floor, no walls, just one big open space. Sometimes it means that you have one big open space and then your sleeping area is like you climb up and then there's another layer, another level, you know, to get up to. That's the loft. Okay. The word loft, let me look at that, because we also have the word lofty. A loft is an upper chamber, right? It's an old word that means the upper chamber, right? So a long time ago, the loft was like your attic. It was like the attic of a house or a home or a building, okay? But then later, the word loft became associated with apartments, like a style of apartment with an open floor plan with no walls and maybe a space above where you sleep. That's the loft, okay? Best tip to reach C1 and C2 level, currently at B2. You need to read and listen to and watch everything that's C1 and C2. Think about, okay, I talked about neighborhoods before, right? A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2 neighborhoods. Let's change that analogy. I want you to think about each of these are like a pool, a swimming pool. Okay, so if you want to have C1 and C2 level language, then you need to swim in the C2 and C1 level pool. So that means you need to be listening to C2 and C1 level things. You need to be writing and reading C2, C1 level things, right? You need to be trying to speak C2, C1 level sentences or speeches, right? So if you want to be at a C1 or C2 level, then get in that water and spend time in that water. All right? They make mistakes? Yeah, of course people make mistakes, Zaki. Of course. Yeah, of course. A loft, everybody. The word loft, lofty ideas are like big ideas that are grand and maybe too big. Let's say lofty is too big of an idea, right? So the word loft comes from Old Norse luft, which means, or luft, which means air or sky. But it just means a sleeping area, okay, is a loft. What's the difference between quiet, and quit? Okay? Quiet. I think they just mean the pronunciation. To grab a coffee, 这是拿。这是买咖啡. Okay? If I say, I'm going to grab a coffee before work, that means, 我要去星巴克买咖啡. Okay? That's all. It just means I'm going to grab a coffee. I'm going to grab a snack. I'm going to grab... It means to buy or get. Okay? 就是拿. Okay? 买, 拿, 都可以. Okay? All right, guys, it is time for me to go. I have been here for 2 hours and 8 minutes. It's time for me to go. So I will be back. I should be back tomorrow. So some people were asking me, why have I not been here recently? Well, just a few days ago, my mother had hip replacement surgery. She had hip replacement surgery, and it's her second one. So I've been kind of taking care of her for a few days, and it's a lot of work. So if I can't, maybe I'm busy taking care of my mom, all right? And then I can't be here, okay? So I'll try to be here tomorrow if I can, all right? Okay, I will see you guys next time then. Thank you, Robeson. All right, have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening. Bye.